Dear learners, I welcome you to the lecture series on Advanced Database Management System. In the last lecture, we have discussed about the fragmentation process. So how do we fragment a relation, and what are the important concepts that we need to keep in mind while fragmenting a relations. So when we fragment a relation, so we need a set of conditions. So we call it as simple predicates. So it is taken from the applications that are accessing the data at different sites. So each query, what are the conditions given in the where class? These conditions could be used for deciding these simple predicates. So after deciding the simple predicates, we have applied the conjunction and negation of all these simple predicates to arrive at set of min-term predicates. And these min-term predicates were used to finally fragment a relation. And also we have discussed about the primary horizontal fragmentation. So primary horizontal fragmentation is basically a relation R is taken, and by applying a different min-term fragments, we are going to divide the table horizontally into several fragments. So that we have used the set of min-term predicates to process to find the different set of min-term fragments of the given relation. Now the question is, a database is collection of tables. It's not just one table, it's a collection of tables where each table is related to one another. May not be all relations, but some relation they are related to other relation, and that relation is through the primary key and the foreign key relationship. We usually call the primary key table as the parent table, and the foreign key table as the child table. So the primary key, which is in one table, the same attribute is included in the another table as a foreign key. So it is going to refer, that is the domain of these two are going to be same, and we establish link between these two tables, the primary key and foreign key. Now the question is, so when we derive, when we go for primary horizontal fragmentation, we consider just one table, and in reality, I cannot fragment all the individual tables using the set of min-term predicates we have derived, set of min-term fragments we have derived. It is a difficult task. The reason is, if I fragment one table on set of attributes, values on set of attributes, the same set of attributes may not present in other tables. Now the question is, how do we fragment the other tables? Because if we send, for example, a student personal detail to one particular site, and the mark details are stored in a different table, and we must send the student's mark details to the same site. So how do we do that? So for that process, we call this fragment as derived horizontal fragmentation. So the another variety of horizontal fragmentation is derived horizontal fragmentation. Let us discuss about the derived horizontal fragmentation in this lecture. Now let us go to the presentation. So derived horizontal fragmentation is the process of creating horizontal fragments of a table in question based on the already created horizontal fragment of another relation. For example, the base table. This is called the derived horizontal fragmentation. So when I have a database, so one relation is linked with other relation through the foreign key primary key foreign key relationship. So we may call that table with the primary key as the owner relation, primary key as a owner relation, and the foreign key table as the member relation. Now there is a link that connects these two tables. So we have a primary key in the owner relation and the foreign key in the member relation. Here, the domain of the primary key attribute of owner table and the foreign key attribute of member table are going to be same. So now the idea is I'm going to fragment one of these tables using primary horizontal fragmentation and the other one using derived horizontal fragmentation. So which is the table? So let us, for example, these two tables, student as well as the grade detail, both the tables are going to share an attribute which is common in domain, of permitted values, the permitted values stored in these two tables. Now we take the primary table, that is the table with the primary key, and we fragment the table using primary horizontal fragmentation. Then we use the fragments, we use the horizontal fragments that were created from the student relation, to further fragment the member relation, that is in our case the grade detail. Semi-join is a join operation that results in a structure and records of one table that match with the records of the other table. So here you see we have two relations. One is R, the other one is S. R has three attributes A1, A2, A3. S has three attributes B1, B2 and A1. If you observe this from these two tables, you can understand A1 is the attribute which is common between these two tables. In many cases the name may be same or may be different, but the thing is the domain of this attribute and the domain of A1 in S both are same. Now the symbol is, this symbol is the semi-join symbol. So S semi-join R is equal to, I will get the structure of S alone. You observe carefully, see it looks like S as it is without any changes. So no attribute is taken from the relation R. So this is semi-join. But what about records? The records are filtered. Records are filtered on comparison of A1 of table S with A1 of table R. If both values are same, that record will be included in this fragment. So S semi-join R, see that the semi-join, it is open on the right hand side. That means we don't take attributes from the right hand side table, we take all attributes from left hand side table. So this results in records of S will be those that have same A1 values in both R and S. Now let us see an example, this table. We have student table with some records and we have grade tables with some records. Let us assume that the owner relation student is already horizontally fragmented on the campus attribute of student relation, and the values chosen are Chennai, Mumbai, Hyderabad and Delhi. That means we have 4 different sites at each of these locations because we have campuses in these locations. We have a campus in Chennai, we have a campus in Mumbai, Hyderabad and Delhi. That means we have already assumed that we have already fragmented the student relation according to this fragment, that is min-term predicate and min-term fragment values. Campus Chennai. Now what we have is student 1, student 2, student 3 and student 4. Now if I am going to join this table, the member relation grade detail should also be fragmented into 4 fragments only, because the primary table, that is primary key table, student is already fragmented and into 4 fragments. So what we expect is, we want to fragment the member relation in such a way that the records related to those 4 already fragmented tables will end up in the same fragment, that is same site. So that's where we are applying the semi-join operation. So how did we apply this semi-join operation? So we create the grade detail 1 by performing the semi-join between grade detail and student table. Student 1 is the fragment that was resulted from the applying the min-term predicates, predicate 1. Likewise, GD2, the same grade detail table is semi-joined with student. So now what happens? Student 1 have, assume that to student 1 have 10 records, grade detail have all the records of it. Now the common attribute value, in our case, the student register number is matched with, see here, register number of the student is common in both relations, in student and grade detail, and these two are compared. So the records of student 1 and grade details are compared on the value of the register number attribute. So only the register number of student 1 will match with the register number of the grade detail. So what we have, the fragment of grade detail is according to the register number of student 1. That is, now student 1 and GD1 will have the records of same person, same set of people. So that is the idea of this derived horizontal fragmentation. See example here. What did we do? So grade detail, semi-join, student 1, it's end up in two records. Now the idea is the register number 1, 2, 3 is the only student who end up in fragment 1. Likewise in grade detail 2, that is grade detail 2, what we have is 108 and 134. So these two students are part of student 2 fragment. Likewise, we have fragmented into 4 fragments. Now the related details are end up in same site. So one particular site, all these records are end up in. So this is what the derived horizontal fragmentation is about. So once we finish this one, there is an important step, that is correctness of fragmentation. So this is very, very important. That is, it is to check whether we have missed any data during fragmentation or any data is added extra. So that we want to be careful about this. So correctness of fragmentation, the first one is our fragmentation is complete or not? So how do we check that? Are we missing any data? So that data should be available. That data of grade detail should present in any one of these fragments. At least it must be part of any one of these fragments. That's what the first rule is about. The second rule, can we reconstruct the original relation from fragments? That is, I perform joining of, that is union of all these fragments, I'll end up in the original grade detail table. And the third condition is, are these fragments disjoint? So disjoint is a property that ensures there is no redundancy exists in a while fragmenting the relation. While fragmenting the relation, we want to be careful about no record should be part of more than one fragment. So that is, we want to find are these fragments or disjoint. So if you perform intersection between all these tables, we will end up in no records are common. Vertical fragmentation. The next concept is vertical fragmentation. So already we have finished with horizontal fragmentation, where we have discussed about two varieties. One is about primary horizontal fragmentation. The other one is about derived horizontal fragmentation. Now the next one is vertical fragmentation. So we are going to discuss about a little bit about vertical fragmentation, not too much about this. So vertical fragmentation is a way of decomposing a table into two or more tables. It's a way of decomposing a table into two or more tables. Why do you want to do that? In some cases, we have a big table. The big table, not all the columns of this big table, not all the attributes of this big table is needed in all the different sites that we have in a distributed database system. We may have something like one portion of this table is interested in all the sites. One portion may be very much interest to only one particular site. That is, in such case, I want to fragment my table vertically so that I can place the part which is common for all in one location, which is unique for each site at each different sites. That is what we want to do. That is why we use vertical fragmentation. And it is just like the process of vertical fragmentation, that is decomposition. That is during the normalization process, you must have studied decomposing a relation into two or more relations. So the schema of original relation R, that is the structure of relation R, is split vertically with respect to attributes into several smaller schemas. Now, all schemas, one property is all schemas must contain a common candidate key to ensure lossless join property. Lossless join property, what is that? So during the decomposition, we are going to break a table in such way that we want to retain the losslessness property. That is, the reason why I break my table is to use it differently. So the ways are, I may use the fragment, that is one fragment alone, or I want to join these two relations back to get the original relations also. So there are different requirements. So that we must ensure the lossless join property. That means I broke my relation into two or more relations. So when I perform join operation between these fragmented relation, I must end up in original relation without losing any information. That is what the lossless join property is all about. See an example here. There is a customer relation with a schema customer ID, name, gender, address, DOB and contact. Now, we want to fragment this relation vertically. That means customer ID attribute, name attribute, contact attribute into one fragment, and in another fragment, gender, address and DOB. Gender, address and DOB we want to break into separate relation. The reason would be like this gender, address and DOB may not be frequently accessed by the applications. On the other hand, customer ID, name and contact may be accessed frequently, so that we want to place it in different locations according to our requirement, application requirement. Now, when I break this table, I cannot get the original relations back. So what is necessary is there should be a common candidate key. So what we have is here the customer ID is taken, which is the primary key of the table. This table is taken into both the fragmented relations. Now what we have is the vertical fragmentation of the relation customer. And if suppose this is very simple way of doing this one. I just want to break my relations to two or more relations, and it is based on the applications that are trying to access frequently. So this portion may be accessed frequently, customer 1 may be accessed frequently, or the customer 2 may be accessed frequently in different locations, not in the same site and different site. So accordingly, we are going to fragment the relations vertically. Okay, we have discussed about derived horizontal fragmentation. The purpose of derived horizontal fragmentation is to fragment the entire database, and we want to break other relations with respect to already fragmented tables, so that all the related data will be ending up in one particular site. So that is the idea for derived horizontal fragmentation. The next fragmentation type out of the two types, actually we have three types. One is horizontal fragmentation, another one is vertical fragmentation, and third one is hybrid fragmentation. So vertical fragmentation is about decomposing a relation into two or more relations with respect to the attributes. We just vertically divide the table into more fragments. That is based on the requirement. And the final one is the hybrid version, is the combination of these two ideas. So either I can vertically fragment my relation, and one of these fragment may be horizontally fragmented, or the other way. I may horizontally fragment one relation, and one of these horizontal fragment relation or all of the horizontal fragmented relation may be further divided vertically for further process. So this is the very basic step in the distributed database management to decide and place the data in different sites according to the applications that are trying to access these data frequently. So we'll discuss about the transaction processing in the next lecture. Thank you.